Hello, Scott Thompson, Scott's Shots Photography, and well, tonight's forecast on the Skyfire app is calling for a decent sunset. So I'm walking out to a spot I've been eyeballing for a few days now, out on Donner Lake. It's got a lot of boulders. The lake level's nice and low right now. This time of year they lower it, so if it freezes, it doesn't damage the piers and the docks and everything, all the legs. The ice doesn't damage it. So a lot of rocks and boulders are exposed. And yeah, I was out running and walking last few days over a spot over by China Cove, it's called. And it's looking kind of photogenic out there. So if we do get a decent sunset, it's gonna be a good one. All right, we're getting closer. That over there is a favorite beach. That's east end beach of Donner Lake, commonly referred to as Dog Beach. A lot of people like to go over there and let their dogs off a leash and have a lot of fun splashing around in the water. There's actually a lot of people over here, more people than I was expecting, but Dog Beach isn't too busy right now. But yeah, I'll be walking along the shoreline here for, I don't know, another 20 minutes or so to get to the spot. Check out these clouds up in the sky here. Ooh, yeah, it's looking like it could be, has potential to be a nice sunset for sure. So I grabbed the gear and decided to boogie, come out here and, oh, I got a good feeling about tonight. Never truly know. Oh my goodness, there's a lot of people out that way. That's gonna be, yeah. I mean, it's not a big deal, but that's a lot for out here in the winter. But yeah, it's, you know, we've had a minimal snow year this year. The ski resorts are spinning, but there's not a lot of snow up there, not a lot of runs open. So I've been noticing that the trails have been a lot busier with people out and about, just walking, getting their exercise, because they come up here, they rent their vacation home, and then skiing's kind of a bust. So a lot of people out and about though. All right, I decided to come to a trail that's between the trees here. There's a lot of downed trees in this little area right along the lake. And when I do my running for exercise, I like coming through here because it's kind of like a little obstacle course. Gotta jump over logs, duck underneath logs, and it's kind of fun. So there is actually a walkway just past the shoreline over there that goes along the whole shore. In the summertime, this is all underwater, but that is a faster, easier way to get there. But who likes easy when you can be walking right along the shoreline here? It's a beautiful view like this. I'm a happy photographer right now. And I'm not even shooting yet. All right, this is, whoops, I think I trapped myself. I had to go through here where there's less water, just mud. But this is the scene I was looking for, that I saw the other day when I was out here. Lots of rocks in the water here, and the sunset's gonna be firing off there. I'm looking to the west right now. Got Donner Summit up there. Now I've got to walk back and forth up this shoreline a few times and find a good composition for sunset. I do like that boulder. I've shot it before at sunset and it's a good spot. Actually, if I'm going to do that, I might want to go back out to that peak, or point rather. I think I'm going to walk down that way and explore the boulders all along the water there and see if I can't find a cool composition. I think pretty much anywhere I go, though, is going to be good if this goes as planned. Wow, these are some nice clouds. The only thing that can happen is if we get really thick cloud layer down there and it blocks the sun from coming through, then it will kind of block the color that happens, and we don't want that. Doesn't look too bad though. It looks like it can still fire off, and yeah, I think we're gonna have a good one. I'm gonna have some fun here. All right, now we're talking. This is kind of what I was looking for. Bunch of scattered rocks here. We're near, just around the corner there's China Cove, it's called. And I might come back here over here. I'm gonna keep walking and see what I can see, but I'm digging this for, you know, this would make a really good vertical shot too, with all these rocks and boulders, but that wouldn't be too bad either, something like that. No. This is the fun part where I'm exploring and seeing what I can see, and eventually I'll have to pick a spot, but I might come back here. So I made it out to what's known as China Cove out here at Donner Lake, and I'm not really seeing any great compositions out here with the boulders in the water, which is what I'm after. So I'm gonna walk back over to where all those scattered rocks were up the shoreline out that way. And but I'm glad I walked this far. I like to work my scene and really kind of check out the area, get there early. I don't like to get there right at sunset because yeah, you gotta find a good composition. And you know, being out here in Tahoe, I'm sure everywhere else too, that the landscape is constantly changing depending on the time of year, time of day, the weather. So you know, you may have something in your mind, and that's good to have a goal, but for me, I feel like I've got to be flexible with what I was planning on shooting, and you know, you never know what you're gonna see, and you gotta be able to, in my opinion, change your mind. And if you see something that's better than what you were planning on, why not go for it? So yeah, but I think what I was planning on is actually gonna be good. Just back kind of up a little bit past where those people are walking right there. So there's this interesting rock spiral, which I've actually shot before on low lake level years. Somebody took the time to put a bunch of rocks in a spiral there. And I just want to say, something I sometimes do before I get out all my heavy gear and set up is I'll take a few photos with the cell phone. And I'm not planning on using those or, you know, printing them up or anything, but just gives me a good idea of the composition, a little preview, that's it, of what I may get if I get out the heavy gear. And this is kind of interesting. I may come back here, but I think I'm gonna go back down the shoreline there. I'm liking where all those rocks are scattered back there, but yeah, I've been walking back and forth up the shore here and trying to see where is the best spot, in my opinion. This is kind of cool though. If I can, I may shoot some photos over there and then rush over to this spot here and get a few to see how they end up looking. I walked up and down the shoreline a few times and took a bunch of photos with the cell phone. And you know what composition I like best? This crazy rock spiral right here. So I came back here and I'm gonna see what I can get here. I can always, you know, maybe 30-second walk right over there and get a different composition if I'm not digging it, but I'm gonna give this a try. Yeah, it's super muddy out here at this spot. No place really to set my camera bag, so I had to set it way off in the distance there on a rock. I often, if I know I'm going to a muddy spot, like to bring a little tarp of some sort, but didn't bring it today, so I'm gonna have to have my gear a good distance away from me. So I better, you know, maybe I'll use my pockets, put some filters and stuff in there, but it's sloppy muddy out there, so the camera bag will be staying on a rock and not in the mud. All right, so I'm doing some test shots now before sunset actually hits because I want to dial in that composition. I've been moving the camera around a little bit back and forth and really kind of finding something that I like. I may end up trying to do some verticals too, but I also realized because I want to get this spiral with a good exposure, I've got actually 2 graduated neutral density filters on the front of the lens. I often only use one in the evening for sunset, but I've got 2 Lee filters on there. One's a 1.2 medium edge filter and one's a 0.6 medium edge filter. And the combination together is working out pretty good to create a nice balanced light in the shot. But yeah, we'll see. I may have to change that up once sunset actually hits. We'll see what happens. But I'm kind of digging this. It's an interesting shot in my opinion. All right, so been playing around, getting different exposures, and right now I'm at ISO 50, a lens aperture of f/22, nice and small, which helps create, well, I'm at about 1/8 of a second long. And I want to have a long exposure because I want to try to smooth out some of those ripples to the water. So the longer exposure, the better. It kind of creates a smooth, soft look to the ripples. And what I did is I actually put a polarizing filter now on the front of that lens too, along with the 2 graduated neutral density filters. So it's really helping to darken that light coming through and allowing me to have a longer exposure, and it's kind of cool. I think I may have dialed in what I want to do for sunset, which is, I don't know, 20-30 minutes from now. So I'll probably go hang out on a rock somewhere for a little bit. Maybe I'll be bouncing around, trying different compositions and seeing what I got here. But for now, I think I've got my setup for when the main explosion of sunset happens. And look at that, it's lining up to be a good one. I don't know, I'm kind of liking the vertical better at this spot, but hopefully I'll have plenty of time with a nice sunset to be able to do both vertical and horizontal, and get back to my pad and check out and see which one looks better on the computer. But vertical's working out all right too, because I get more of the sky in this shot. I don't get quite the dynamic horizontal look, to the sky, but I'm getting up higher to the sky, and that's kind of cool. So I'll keep an open mind with this one and keep busy and move the camera back and forth between horizontal and verticals. And I don't think I'm going to do a panoramic shot here. I was thinking I may end up doing that, but I don't think it's really necessary with this composition. If I move over there, I might end up doing a stitched panoramic, where I get multiple photos and then stitch them together in a program called PT GUI to create a really big wide angle shot, wider than I can get with that 16 to 35 millimeter lens that's on there. But I don't think it's going to be necessary. Ooh, come on, fingers crossed for a good one. Oh, it's starting to get chilly. And fortunately, what I often bring, especially this time of year, I bring a beanie. I've also got some gloves in there. Hey, check out these gloves. They're pretty cool. By a company called ProMaster, and they are pretty nice and warm. I'm going to press pause for a second here while I put them on and then show you. Here, I'll show you why I like them. The index and thumb fingers bend back, and they've got little magnets on there to hold that back, and it works really well keeping my hand and my fingers warm. And when I need to dial in, the camera, press those tiny little buttons, I can flip those fingers back and press the buttons and then easily put them back on. One-handed right now. Anyways, I can easily flip them back on and then keep those fingers warm while I keep shooting. But yeah, these work great in the snow. I've been out shooting sunrises in the snow before when it's super cold out, and they work just fine. They're not as great, as like good ski gloves or something like that, but they absolutely work. So yeah, it's time to put these on and put the beanie on because it's getting chilly. And I don't know if you can see down the beach, but I'm the only one out here. Everybody else went home. Time to go eat dinner, time to warm up, but not me. This is about to get good out here. This is what I love. Yeah, it's look at this. It's gonna fire off with color. I just know it. So a photographer friend saw one of my recent videos and was asking me what tripod I use. They seem to like it. And this Manfrotto 055 carbon fiber tripod, I've been really digging it. This center column actually comes out and goes horizontal as well, which is nice for when you're doing kind of like macro photography of flowers. You're down on the ground. It can help you get some interesting compositions. I'm not going to bust it out right now, but I do like it. And I actually don't use a Manfrotto ball head. I prefer the Really Right Stuff ball head. They're just really well made. I like them a lot. A lot of features to them as far as, you know, being able to dial in the tightness and having a second. You've got the kind of panning ability on this, and then you've got a second panning ability here. You got your bubble level on there, and then I get the really right stuff L bracket too, so that allows me to do horizontal and vertical shots with the lens directly above the center column, and that can be really nice for when you're doing stitched panoramics and taking a bunch of photos. Of course there are better systems for doing panoramics, but with today's software this one works pretty darn good, and I don't have to carry around a bunch of extra weight. But yeah, I like being able to flip this really quickly, and I don't have to have my part of the ball head here kind of horizontal in order to, or, you know, flip to the side in order to do verticals. It in my opinion is a really nice system. I dig it. Grr. So we've got big vapor trail now from that plane going across the sky, and it looks like it's going to be sticking around for a while, unfortunately. Hopefully it'll soften up and not be so noticeable, but I think I'm going to flip this back to shooting horizontals because it is in my composition now, and I don't like that. That's a bummer. So let's flip that back and do some horizontals, and maybe I'll do that for sunset unless that dissipates and goes away. Yeah, really, that's not that bad, and that vapor trail's not in the shot now, so it's still looking good, even as a horizontal. All right, so yeah, I've got the gloves on now, the beanie on now, but I also put my headlamp on. It's not dark yet, but I like to get set up before I need it, because once that sun starts going down and it starts getting dark, if I need to look at my settings on the camera, I like to have it right there without having to scramble through my bag and find out where it is. This one's by Nightcore. It's a super lightweight, rechargeable headlamp. It's got different brightness. It's amazing how bright it is for such a small little unit. It's got a red light on there too, so if I don't want to mess up my eyes' night vision, I can use the red light. And then my pupils don't adjust so much, and it's easier to see when it's dark still. Anyways, I've got lots of headlamps, but this tends to be my favorite one to bring out for photography, again, because it's so lightweight and just can fit right in my little pocket. But yeah, it's I don't know, it's looking good. I think we're gonna have a nice colorful explosion here, but if not, this whole video was for nothing, because I probably won't bother posting it. Yeah, that's looking pretty sweet. Wanted to talk for a minute about the exposure, because that's changed up a bit. I'm still at ISO 50 and a lens aperture of f/22, but now I'm at a 6-second long shot, and that's more what I was kind of hoping for this. It really helps. Check out how smooth the water looks there. It helps, it's such a long exposure, all those ripples kind of smooth out, smear, and it looks nice and flat. In my opinion, that's a great look. And yeah, as the sunset starts to turn color and things get darker, that'll be even a longer exposure. I may end up taking one of the filters off, maybe even end up taking the polarizer filter off, but for now I'm leaving it on there because that's about how long of an exposure I want in order to get rid of all that ripples. So yeah. All right, so I went ahead and took that polarizing filter off. We were getting up to like a 13-second exposure or longer, or something like that, which was a little bit longer than I needed. Now I'm back down to about an 8-second exposure with it off, and it's really not affecting too much of the color in this particular situation, and I'm not trying to get rid of that glare. I actually like that colorful cloud going across it there. If that fires off with more pinks and oranges, that's gonna look good. So yeah, got rid of that polarizing filter. All right, back to horizontal, and I'm zoomed in a little bit because the clouds up higher in the sky that were there all kind of dissipated, and we've just got clouds down low now. So I decided to go back to horizontal and yeah, zoom in just a touch. And I'm digging that composition, nice and colorful looking. Again, with the 2 graduated neutral density filters on there, no polarizing filter, ISO 50, aperture, lens aperture of f/22, and about a 6-second long exposure with mirror lockup going. And then I've got the shutter release cable going as well, so I get minimal movement to the tripod. I don't want any vibration at all because I like to print my images up huge. And yeah, if you get, it may look perfectly sharp on a computer screen, but then when you go to print it up big, you realize, oh shoot, there was a little bit of shake to that camera. So yeah, tripods are important, mirror lockup's important, and a shutter release cable is important. So I feel like I kind of jinxed it about talking about how explosive it was probably going to be, because it was nice. There's a bit of color, but the clouds really dissipated right at the last minute. And you can kind of see there's a thick layer of clouds down low. I was really hoping that wasn't going to happen, but it did. But that kind of blocks the sun and kind of stopped it from being as big and explosive as I thought it was going to be. It was still nice, and we sometimes do get a second wave of color to sunsets and sunrises. There's that, sunrise, it's that initial early color, and then it can be more explosive later. And then at sunset, it can be nice and explosive at first, but then you get like a second wave of color later where you got to have a long exposure. But yeah, it doesn't always happen. Fingers crossed it will, but again, there's looking at that thick cloud layer that rolled in down low. It kind of bummed me out. I still think I still got a keeper photo though. There was still a bit of color there. It just didn't last very long, and I'm gonna stay out a little bit longer, see what I can do. It's starting to get dark now, so that was still fun, and I still got definitely at least a keeper or two. And yeah, it's getting cold though. It's getting dark. I'm gonna pack it up. I do have my headlamp here, which I will be using for the walkout. But yeah, it's oops, excuse me. It's over. That was fun. Thanks for watching. If you do like any of the images you saw, they are available on my website, scotchshotsphoto.com. They can be printed up really large as fine art prints on metal, on canvas, or even on acrylic. Smaller prints are available too. Any little bit helps me out. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Hope you learned something, and you guys all have a great day.